Hey everyone, I am Paul Baker. I'm the CEO for the Greater Idaho Falls Chamber of Commerce, and today I'm with Jeff Aldridge, who is running for mayor for Idaho Falls. Jeff, thank you so very much for
Yeah,
being here
thanks for
today.
having me.
Yeah, I've had a chance to sit down with you and kind of get to know you a little bit, and we had lunch at one time, which was
Yeah,
great. Thank you for doing that. But I thought it'd be really great for me and the chamber community to kind of get to know you a little bit better, and so we'll start up and asking the very stereotypical questions like, tell me why you're running for mayor.
sure. Yeah, the very stereotypical question. Actually, but it's a good question.
It is a good question.
Because it really kind of defines motive behind why people do what they
Yeah.
do. So for me, I'm a business guy. So I built my career. I love my career. Love the company I work for. I'm able to add value to the company. I've been with it for 15 years. It's a publicly traded technology company. And what I get to do is influential. It's
Yeah.
really fun to see when you work on a project, you're working with people and teams around the world, and you see it positively reflected in the stock value. There's some pride in that. And so I was very happy and content with my business career. Now, I've always been politically informed and engaged, but never had a drive or a desire necessarily to go into politics. And when we knew that Mayor Casper was not seeking a re-election, my first thought was, I hope somebody good runs. And when one day I was just working, and my wife sent me a text message and said, "You should run for mayor." And I looked at it and I held the button down and said, "Ha ha." Right back to her. It's like, why would I do that? Like, I love what I do. I love where I live. I love being able to all the things that I do, like with Trail Life, lead a Trail Life troop, and serve in our church, and so much of my life and my family's life would be disrupted by that. So I started disqualifying myself before I really considered it, and my wife, sent the ha-ha, see little dots going, and she writes back. It's like, everybody's ready to back you. And it was a nice little nudge for me just to start exploring. It's like, it is time, I think, for new people to come in, to bring in different perspectives, and what that aligns a little bit more with the citizens. And so that's kind of what got me going is just that little nudge and that encouragement, and just kind of moving forward in good faith.
Yeah.
And then here it is.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you being here and being willing to throw your hat in the ring. And
Yeah.
I say this to a lot of folks that don't think people 100% realize a couple of things. One is the level of scrutiny that comes with it, but also the sacrifice that people behind the scenes have to make, particularly family and staff.
Yes.
And it does come with a cost.
Yeah.
Public service comes with a cost. So thank you for being willing to do that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It means a lot. It's been an interesting summer for our family.
Yeah.
Obviously even now it's very much ramped up.
Yeah. So you moved here about 5 years ago.
Yep.
So what prompted the move, and what did you like about Idaho Falls, and tell me why you've chosen to stay and put roots in.
So I was born in Western Washington. My wife was born in Western Washington, so that just happened to be where we were born. So we didn't choose that.
Sure.
Our parents chose that.
Yeah, for sure.
And so our kids were born there. And as we were just seeing the decisions that were being made in those localities, that state, we realized it wasn't what I wanted for my family and the environment that I wanted to raise my children in. And so we knew we wanted to be in Idaho, but it was just a matter of where in Idaho. And we did our research, and we looked at all different communities. And when we found Idaho Falls, it just seemed too good to be true. And we came out and visited it, and our kids asked my wife and I what we thought of it. And we both had the same reaction, that it felt like the hometown that both of us had that no longer exists. It was just that family focused. It sounds silly, but it really means something when you see kids riding around on bikes, right, and people waving at each other, and it felt like a community. It has all those comforts that you would want from a nice established city. but still has that small town feel.
Mm-hmm.
That's really unique.
Yeah, that's kind of the same experience I've had. I've been here relatively the same amount of time you have, and the first time I came to Idaho Falls was the day I moved here.
Wow.
So never had
wow.
never scoped it out
Yeah.
before I got here. But after a few months, thought, yeah, I really like this place. The people are great, you know. And felt like I had to do something to contribute to the community that I'm in, you know.
Yeah.
So this is why I'm here.
Hey man,
this
that's
is
a good
why
place
I
to
stay.
get. That's a good place to get connected.
You know, it is. It's
And,
great.
and what's great about it too for us is that we found our community. We found a homeschool group that our kids are a part of, and we met other families, and we have these relationships with people that are so much stronger than we ever had, ever.
Yeah.
And being able to serve and give back and
Mm-hmm.
connect with different organizations,
Mm-hmm.
it's been really rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been allowed to. This is our adopted city that we love,
Yeah.
and I'm thankful that we're able to contribute back to it.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about running for mayor.
Yeah.
And I guess like the question that is pretty common when anyone is considering who to vote for is, I guess, qualification.
Yeah.
So tell me what you feel qualifies you, and kind of what sets you apart from our existing mayor to
Mm-hmm.
the other two that's running for mayor today.
Sure. So I think it's unique about a strong form mayor that we have here in Idaho Falls is that I would say that the mayor has two different types of jobs. There's the front end,
Mm-hmm.
which is maybe the policy stuff, and then the ceremonial stuff that people see, right? That people engage with. But then there's the back end, which is essentially the executive over the organization that is the city.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, with Idaho Falls, there's 11 departments, 802 full-time employees, a budget of $389 million, and a lot, maybe even most, of the mayor's responsibilities is leading, guiding, and directing the business of the city.
Mm-hmm.
And my experience from business, like 15 years at a company that's 7,000 people worldwide, and leading teams globally that are diverse. There's language differences, there's time zone differences. We're all trying to align to very specific goals within certain budgets to achieve certain milestones.
Mm-hmm.
I have a proven track record from the business side of things, and the training and just the mentorship, even with the executives that I've developed. I think is one of those things that I would love to help each of those departments have a healthy culture, remove roadblocks, and provide autonomy for each of those departments to do their best work,
Mm-hmm.
with the sole focus of being customer centric
Mm-hmm.
to the first off the citizens and then the businesses of Idaho Falls. So I think the big differentiation is my experience from the business end that really aligns well, not as a politician, but from that back end leader for the city.
Mm-hmm. So give me an example
Mm-hmm.
of something you've experienced in your career that you're would definitely transfer into running a city.
Yeah, so I lead a big it's a big event every year that it's a tens of $1 million event that we put on. It's called App World, and we have a big flagship show. There's 800 plus attendees of our customers and partners.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a multi-day event where we have certification, we have training, we have keynotes, we have expo halls. And so my job is the experience, is what is that experience from the very beginning to the end, right? So from the time they're getting their first engagements, those invites, trying to engage with our customers to actually come to the event, because that's a lot of their time, money, everything. And then what is that experience for them? I want to make sure that the value is there, that they're getting within those 3 days, that they're going to be better equipped to take on whatever challenges that they have at work.
Mm.
And so I have to work with different vendors, and I have to work with the executives on their presentations, and then work with the stagehands and the crew and then other other artists who are making, you know, the physical 3D environment. And that is just for the one show. So we have this one big flagship show where it's our which I'd say like WWDC or something like that for Apple, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's
their
big
showcase or whatever you
exactly.
want to call it. Yeah.
And that's just the one, and then it goes into 10 road shows around the world. So we go from London, Berlin, Dubai, India, so it's Japan, and then working with all of those teams to do the same thing in those locales under whatever different restrictions we have. So like, is this something that we're going to bring in, or we're going to source locally, and then what talent are we using?
Yeah.
And how are we doing this with the teams that they have? How do we need to augment those teams, offset those teams? What resources do we need to provide? Is their budget appropriately scoped for their region? How are the numbers? How can we help with that? So it's working on this one big event that brings in hundreds of millions of dollars of pipeline through qualified leads, and then extending it globally throughout the world.
So how on earth did you fall into that, world?
Yeah. So I come from visual communications background, and I started working at a technology startup, and absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Because what we get to do is, or what I love to do is to help try to make things understandable and explain things. And with this company that I currently work for, I was hired initially to work with the executives on their keynotes, and I worked with them for years, and working with them on their analysts and investors meetings, which was an incredible education, where you're hearing from it's just myself and all the executives, and trying to figure out the best way to talk to analysts and investors, to let them know, to forecast what to look forward to in this next year. And you don't want to overpromise, you don't want to underpromise. You want to make sure that they're going to have an accurate forecast, so that your stock, is accurately portrayed. And it's been I don't know. I've just been blessed. It's been such an amazing opportunity. And then when you find a company that treats you well, invests in you, you get training, mentorship, has the right culture, it really does go a long way.
Yeah.
A lot of people, especially in technology, they advance their careers by going to other companies, right? So you'll see a lot of people 18 months, 21 months, 11 months, and it's rare to see. There's a lot of people just like myself who stay in there long term, and that's the type of healthy culture that is valued.
Yeah.
That's what I'd love to be able to do is to take the best practices from what I've learned and have seen and observed, and appropriately apply them. You can never just copy and paste.
Sure.
Every business is unique and has different circumstances, but you want to be able to figure out what those best practices are to apply.
Yeah. So how do you feel? I'm making an assumption here, that you're gonna give that up to run the city full time.
Yeah, it's a big sacrifice.
Yeah, and so how do you feel about that transition going from the private sector into the public sector? Requires lots of transferable skills for sure.
Yeah.
But a little bit of a different kind of leadership style, perhaps, or dealing with different culture, or whatever it might be, And so the reason I ask is I told you about this online, about our Emerging Leaders program. We study private sector and public sector separately, to kind of, there's correlative, similarities in leadership style, but the big difference is that rather than a board to answer to, you now have an entire city of people to answer to.
For sure.
Or a state, or a country. But so you have 60 to 70,000 people that you now kind of answer to.
Yeah.
Different shift in gears. But lots of transferable stuff. So how do you kind of prepare yourself for that?
That's a good question. Well, it is going to be quite a change even for my family and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
just, time commitments and everything else. And
Mm-hmm.
it'll be a sacrifice, making that change, but I feel I've been in this blessed opportunity to be able to do that. I love to serve and give back in a new, unique way, and be able to use this experience in education and training that I've had and apply it in this new way. But even through this campaign, I think has been wonderful exposure that has helped me kind of see what this what that's going to be like. Where it's not a board,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
There are these constituents,
Mm-hmm.
because as I've talked to people, I have ideas about what I think could help benefit the city. But it's when I talk to just regular people and they explain different nuances, and it makes me think differently about it. It helps me be more well-rounded, and that's it sounds like trite or something like that, but it's really true that the citizens are the best consultants that the city could ever have, and so it's like we need to find ways to engage with them and listen to them and learn from them as much as possible. You're never going to please everybody. Some people, and sometimes things just don't fall certain people's way, and that's unfortunate too. But I think there's so much that you can learn from people when we listen, and the other thing too is if we, whatever decisions we end up making, I really love Simon Sinek's Start with Why.
Yep.
And Leaders Eat Last,
Yep.
and great books. But I love Start with Why, and whenever you're making decisions, if you explain the why. So even if you disagree with me, if I explain my why, like, well, this is why we're doing this thing, so this is what it's going to end up being. You might disagree with me, but at least you know the why behind it. Now, if I just said this is what we're doing and you disagree with it, it leaves doubt for you to assume what my motive is behind it, which is unhealthy, right? And so we need to make sure that we have a good relationship and trust. So it's like, okay, maybe I didn't like that position that they did, but at least I understood why they did it, right?
Absolutely. So let's talk about day one.
Mm-hmm.
So you're elected mayor.
Mm-hmm.
You're you've got a little bit of time before January 1st, right?
Yeah.
But day one, you've got a lot of 800 or so staff
Yeah.
who will have this new leader
Yeah.
just turn up, right? And I've been there on the business side of things, where there's a new CEO or there's even a new owner. How do you kind of plan to address, city staff? What's the kind of leadership style you feel you're going to bring?
Mm-hmm.
What's the culture going to look like under a city that's governed by yourself?
Yeah, so day one is definitely going to have to be figuring out what the right cadence schedule is to meet with all the heads of all those 11 departments. And of course, there's the boards and everything else too.
Yeah.
But
and I think a lot of people don't know that the mayor sits on a variety of different boards around the city as well. And there's a lot of things that go on outside of just some day-to-day city admin stuff and city council meetings.
And so it's what I want to do is develop that relationship with all those leaders, and then also figure out the appropriate ways to do even skip level meetings, because I want to go not just the surface level. Like, I want to know from the people who are doing the work too. I think it's a really healthy thing to have in any culture, is to have a culture of skip level meeting, so that you can talk.
Explain that for someone who's watching who might not know what a skip level. You and I would know.
Yeah.
The general population may not.
So let's say you have you're an individual contributor, but you have a manager, and then there's like a senior manager above them. It's like to have a regular cadence for the senior manager and the individual contributor above the manager. So hopefully you're having your regular one-on-ones with whoever your manager is at whatever altitude you are within an organization. But to have a skip level meeting so that there's that wonderful transparency that goes beyond. And if you set it up right from a culture standpoint, it's not like, well, why are you talking to my boss type of thing, right? It's well, no, this is just a healthy way to figure out, and it provides a better understanding, even especially for those senior leaders, to understand what is actually happening at that lower level, to figure out, because what a leader's job should be is, you know, setting the course. This is the goal. This is the direction that we're going to go, and then establishing, you know, setting the tone. This is the example that I hope everybody lives up to, and then making sure, bringing out any roadblocks so that people can navigate towards the goal that you've set. And so having those wonderful skip level meetings would be fantastic. But having those healthy meetings with those department heads where we have that trust and respect, where it's like, I don't want you just to tell me what I want to hear. We want to be honest so that we can make better informed decisions. So if there's stuff that's going well, that's great. We can celebrate that and maybe learn from that. Maybe there's a pattern that we can learn in one department that we can maybe apply in another department. But if there are opportunities for concern, let's address them maturely. Like, no one's in trouble here, unless it's like, you know, against the law or like blatant. But it's like, let's learn from this so that we can make a better decision moving forward. Let's not try to hide this. Let's not make a culture of shame where we're trying to hide the things that aren't working well. And so if we have that good relationship, you know, at that top, and we just kind of filter it, push it down, and model that as leaders, not just as the mayor, but as leaders over the city and all these different departments, we can hopefully definitely improve the way that people work. And then my job would be making sure that everybody is well equipped to do what they need to do, and get rid of any roadblocks and that type of thing.
What do you think as a consequence of implementing that kind of process would have an impact on culture then? Like, do you think that happier, think productive, like what do you think?
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at this from, the reason I ask questions, I'm looking at it from a recruitment perspective too, and retention, you know, and so whenever there is a change over leadership, there is some movement. Typically you'll see that. I've seen that in the private sector. I can't say I've seen it in the public sector because I'm not really paid that attention, but now I am. Yeah. And so I just wonder what your thoughts are on that, if you expect to see some of that maybe, or...
Well, that would be the hope, is that we can have, is to improve retention, right? I don't want people to... I've heard of instances of people who are in areas that are maybe not as... I don't want to say toxic, because maybe that's way too loaded, but where the culture wasn't proper enough for people to leave, and we don't want that. We want to make sure that when we hire somebody on, that that it is for long term. We want to invest in people just as much as they're investing into the city. And you know, if there is a different opportunity for them, you know, there's no hard feelings. But ideally, we want to make sure that we have good retention, so that you know, it's kind of like a bicycle. I always think. So if you're in first gear, you have to pedal a lot harder to go the same speed, but as you get up to speed, you can go down to second gear, and with the same amount of effort, you can go further, right? You go further, faster. And so if we can keep good people on, they can help whatever their role is. They can go further, faster, and rather than like, okay, well, we lost that person for whatever reason, and okay, now we have other people that we want to invest in, but we know that we're starting in first gear, and that's okay.
Yeah. So let's talk about policy a little bit then.
Sure.
Let's get into some of that fun stuff. So growth, obviously, big concern for folks. Definitely a common theme amongst all the different conversations I've had with everyone that's kind of running for, whether it's mayoral or city council. A lot of buzz online as well. So just give me your thoughts on kind of what your, I guess, understanding, perception of growth is in the city, and just kind of let's just start there, because it's such a layered discussion topic. But let's just talk at the surface level, I guess, in terms of what you've seen in the 5 years that you've been here, and what your concerns are, and what you're hearing people say.
It's funny. I think I get this. I don't know why. Because I think it's one of my earliest op-eds. I was talking about how we need strategic growth, and I'm like the anti-growth guy. It's like, no, that's not true at all. What it is so we need to, as we grow, we need to be strategic about how we do it. So the comprehensive plan that came out in 2022, allowed for zoning in certain areas. I think we've just seen the fruits of it. I think it was well intentioned, but not right, and I think people are not happy with it. I think the biggest thing is when they would allow for zoning of high density. So there's R1, R2, and R3. So R1 is residential, single family home. R2 is a higher density. So think duplexes, triplexes, things like that. And R3 is when you get to high density. So that's apartments, and usually going vertical. And so what we've been seeing is it's given allowance for when a developer comes in and they're making a petition to rezone an area. Well, they're allowed to make it an R3, and now we're seeing R3 high density right next to established neighborhoods. And I think there's a time and place for high density. I think places like Jackson Hole Junction and Snake River Landing are perfect because you can build the infrastructure and the amenities that are actually even more beneficial for high density without disturbing existing neighborhoods. So I think what a lot of people are having frustrations with is when they bought their house, late 90s, early 2000s, whenever, and there was a field behind them, and it's very difficult for agriculture within the city limits, even though if they were county, right? Sure. And it's much easier when you have hundreds of acres outside in the city, in county, and it's just the economies of scale make much more sense, right? And so as farmers getting older, it's easier for them just to sell off that property. So as that property either gets annexed in, or if it was in the city and it gets petitioned to be zoned something else, I think people are surprised that disheartened when they they had a fence and they had a field, and all of a sudden now there's a three-story apartment complex. And so it's not to denigrate that. I think that there is a time and place. Like one of the things I think is that we need to do more of and be helpful of is even more commercial property. So there's a big development over on 25th and Holmes that is a really good example, I think, of what we don't want to do. It's it's how it's zoned now, so it is what it is. But it's right by Home Depot. There's going to be somewhere, I can't remember what the exact number is, like 680.
Yeah, it's about 600 plus units.
Yeah, apartments that are going in there. And it's going to lead off into, okay, so Holmes is pretty busy. So if it comes off there, that's great. But then on 25th, that's just a 2-lane road with a median. That's already really busy as it is right now, just providing the service for the neighborhoods that's already there. And so you think 600 units, and there might be, let's be generous and say like 1.5 cars per unit, so 900 or so. And if the average trips per day based on the U.S. is 7.3, but let's put that down. Let's just say 5 trips per day. You're talking about 4,500 extra car trips that are coming on those roads daily. And so it's hard. And so if you can build density where you have easier ingress and for traffic, that makes things a lot easier too. That's why things like the Jackson Hole Junction near the freeway make a lot of sense too, rather than in the middle of the city where you're going to have traffic accordion in and out and disturbing existing neighborhoods. But what would have been great there though, because Holmes is such a great road. Holmes, that frontage, that road frontage would have been wonderful for commercial, like a box store, and then you could have had maybe behind it professional office space, and then you could have had townhomes, and so you'd have a nice gradual step down that leads into a neighborhood, and I think that would have been much more palatable for people who've already invested their lives in neighborhoods like that.
Yeah. So how do you, I guess, looking at it from a private landowner perspective, okay, so there's we enjoy some liberties, I guess, around having the freedoms to develop what we would like to see developed as a landowner. How do you kind of find a balance between protecting that right while also managing the city in such a way that it can manage growth the right way, because there is a balance.
There is a balance, and that's a difficult one. And I think that's where the pendulum just kind of went from one way to the other way. And so it's finding what that balance is through our comprehensive plan. And that is the right role for government. Some free market capitalists, but whenever there's development, it doesn't just happen in a vacuum. You can't just build a pig farm, in a neighborhood, right? You need to make sure that whatever the framework that you're allowing or setting up is additive to those areas. And so it really would be looking in the comprehensive plan and seeing how we can better tune those frameworks for zoning opportunities, and maybe that is updating ordinances as well, and then trying to find developers who are community minded, right. and try to, if we can help try to define what our goals are as a city, that would definitely help. But yeah, it's right now the way that it's set up, it's like once that zoning is approved, the city has lost influence to help kind of direct it.
Right.
So if we can work on the front end and make sure that the comprehensive plan and the ordinances are set in a way that works well for the city as a whole, then that goes a long way.
So I guess kind of the follow-up question to that is you kind of look at Imagine IF, the comprehensive plan. What's your approach going to be? Is it going to be let's pump the brakes on it? Is it let's chop and cut certain things, or is it let's evolve it? What's going to be your kind of leadership style approach to looking at the comprehensive plan?
So I'd work with community development services and say like, okay, well this is what we need to define the win. We need to define what the goals are. So if the goals are to try to direct certain development into certain areas so that we're not disturbing or existing neighborhoods, and we want to make sure that we're having better traffic patterns and everything else. So if that's what our goals are, then what's the best way to do this surgically at first? Eventually we'll because it's the law, we'll come up with a whole new comprehensive plan, but it's not scrapping it. It's like, what do we need to do to amend it? And there's already been amendments to the comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's unheard of. Like those are the tools that we have to do. And so if we define what the goals are with CDS and work with them to figure out, well, what can we do to be strategic about this approach? We don't want to just take a sledgehammer. We're going to take a scalpel and be thoughtful about it. But I do think that there is a sense of urgency, because again, once you approve, you've lost influence, and so we want to make sure that it's well defined and done in a thoughtful way, so that developers know what to expect too, and they can work within those parameters that make sense for the city. So
tell me how you think you'd like to kind of look to develop that comprehensive plan. And the reason I ask the question is just, again, I represent the private sector. And my job is to advocate for the private sector, and my concern is just making sure that the private sector's voice is heard. In that approach, that typically because we live in the society we live in terms of a capitalist society, the private sector is very good at identifying what is needed, what the kind of investment kind of background side of things are asking for in terms of capital deployment and what kind of asset class. Developers are pretty sensitive to the cost of money and making sure that they make a profit. And that they end the right side up with something. But also I'd say that especially local developers here, and definitely the ones that are chamber members, are very keen and very concerned about their the projects that they work on, that they are to the benefit and the betterment of the community. And so would you see some collaboration, some engagement there?
Oh yeah, especially the local ones. We need to have their input to figure out, because they're locally, if they're community focused,
Mm-hmm.
and they understand what our goals are too. Because I don't think, if they want the best for what the community is.
Mm-hmm.
An out-of-state developer doesn't necessarily care. So, so
I'm yawning, I'm sorry. It's been a long day. Sorry.
It's been a long day.
Yeah.
And so working with local community-minded developers to find out like what would help you in your pursuits that you think would be helpful if we were to change the ordinances, or we were to change the comprehensive plan that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
What would be the most beneficial for you to meet these goals? I think if we that's really the big thing, is defining what those goals are.
Yeah.
But the question more of like, yeah, how do we work with them? It's like, yeah, we'd have to partner and figure this out. Like, and you know, one of the things that I think we need to be better on. It's a lot easier for people, and I get from a profit standpoint, just to build an apartment complex, because there's just like the fields outside of the city, when you have a large area, you have the economies of scale. So you have an economies of scale when you're even developing that versus you know, single family homes. And so that's why usually what you see with development of single family homes is not necessarily affordable homes. They're the last home type of things that people have, the 400,000 plus homes. Just because if a developer wants to get a certain percentage of profit off of their hard work, it's easier to do those two ends, the $400,000 plus home and the high density. There's not a lot of profit incentive to do the more affordable townhomes or something like that, especially if they were owner occupied.
Yeah. Well, I have an idea to pitch you.
I would love to hear that.
Okay, so something I've been thinking about often as trying to be a part of the solution to the very topic we're talking about affordable housing. So years ago, so this chamber started in 1904, and I've been kind of like looking at the history and learning all the different cool things that this chamber done. One of them was the creation of the Bonneville Hotel, where they had 400 individuals come together to invest in building the hotel. The start of the chamber was actually a result of people coming together to help rebuild downtown that was burnt. In 1904, it was like $700,000 worth of damage, which in that time was a lot of money. I would love to see maybe the city and the chamber collaborate on addressing affordable housing.
That would be amazing.
And look at a public-private partnership.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd love to get your thoughts on that idea.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we have had, over in the northwest corner of town, we've had Habitat for Humanity has built a community.
Yeah.
And like that is that's perfect, right? Because that's addressing a need that our community has, and with an organization where that's their defining mission.
Yeah.
And so if we can find partners to help us with that, it's one of those things I don't think the city should be the sole responsible party for everything, right? So we have obviously a huge influence on certain things, and there are certain things that we completely own that we need to make sure that we are being proper of, you know, safety and everything else like that, services, utilities, but where we can partner with people and organizations to help us achieve whatever those goals might be for like affordable housing, be incredible.
Yeah.
It's the same with even like the homeless situation and in drug abuse and stuff. It's like there's already so many wonderful organizations within the city that do that, and so we don't necessarily need to, as a city, own that fully. But if we partner with the people who are already well equipped and have a better partnership, we can be, you know, it's the bike analogy, right? We can go from first gear, second gear. We can be more productive with the people, time, tools, and resources that we have. I love that idea.
Yeah, it's very much is just an idea of just
That's
kicking
great.
around. I've yet to figure out the actual structure of it, but
Sure.
I do know that they're like from the conversations I've had with chamber members is that they would love to sort of get back to what this chamber used to do in the past, which was those kind of projects, and a lot of like what we see here in Idaho Falls is a result of organizations like the chamber just getting people together to join with the city and helping collaborate and achieve something significant that the city needs, so the Rotary Club done a phenomenal job with the Green Belt and stuff, and
amazing,
and you got United Way and you got the Food Bank and like the Rescue Mission and so many other folks out there doing, and the churches, just lots of great things. But I kind of like, I come from a world of collaboration is a great thing. One of the challenges I think that we should discuss is kind of, I think people sometimes will find themselves in silos, not necessarily deliberately putting themselves in there, but kind of accidentally finding themselves in a siloed situation. And so, I mean, have you seen that? Have you kind of felt that, and you kind of considered some of that, I guess?
So I've heard that a lot, especially as people are trying to navigate even establishing a business here in Idaho Falls, dealing with the different departments and then finding out, oh, they didn't need to do this versus that.
Oh, from the permitting perspective or whatever it might be with the city and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, registering and.
I've heard a story about a daycare that was remodeling, and they went through all the steps, everything they needed to do, and when it came to the fire inspection, well, the daycare was on the second floor.
Oh, dang.
And they couldn't be on the second floor. It's one of those. They eventually figured out the right solution that made it possible. But it's one of those ones where it's like, if there was a different type of collaborative process like that, hopefully that would have been caught sooner, so that it could have been easier to go through, right? Yeah. So we need to make sure that whatever this process is that we have to get, it doesn't matter if it's permitting or whatever happens to be, that it's consistent and it's transparent, that like people know where they are, and that us as public servants, no matter what department, that we are helping them along the process, even if it's like, well, that's that department, not my department. We need to make sure that we have that open line of communication. Maybe just having good standard operating procedures, right? That we all abide by to make sure that works well. Well, there's another question you had in there that was really good. I had a thought.
Oh, dang it, I can't remember now.
Man.
We were talking about kind of silos and kind of breaking down some of those silos and getting more collaboration.
Oh, yes. So what I think is so great, I don't know if you've ever had this experience, is like whenever you, I love when this happens. So I'll hire somebody and I start training them, right? And I'm showing them the ways, this is how we do stuff. And I love when they start asking questions. And it's like, well, why do we do this? Right? And it's not out of a negative thing, but it's like a curiosity of like, oh, I want to make sure that I'm informed enough. And so you're answering the question. It's like, oh, that's a good question. So we do this because we used to do this way, and it didn't really work out for our particular needs, whatever happens to be. Then every once in a while you get those questions, well, why do you do this? Why do you do it that way? It's like, I don't know. Maybe because we've always just done it that way. And that answer, well, we've always done it that way, I absolutely hate. That is the worst answer you could give to when you're asked why you do something. And so I think there's a healthy benefit having somebody come in who doesn't have a bias of, well, this is how we've always done it, to be able to, well, I want to learn. I want to see how you guys are doing this, because maybe there's a new perspective that we can do to make things better. Maybe there's something that we're doing that is not resulting in the benefits that we want. So maybe we can just eliminate that or offset that and figure out how we can best use the city's steward the city's resources to be to benefit the city, the citizens, and the businesses better. Yeah,
no, I appreciate that. I had this question in my mind. It kind of like
so I derailed you.
Yeah, no, you're good. What I kind of love and appreciate, kind of like that mindset. That it's good to ask a question, and then if the answer is, well, this is the way we've always done it, then that to me is a bit of a red flag and then requires further investigation. I guess like the kind of other thought I have, kind of somewhat related to that, is what have you kind of noticed about the city that perhaps is a little bit like that? That we're kind of like in this kind of mode of operation, or it is just something that has been inherited. Is there anything in particular like that like stands out for you?
Yeah.
That you really want to go after and address?
Yeah, I think the permitting process is definitely probably the biggest one. I think that's the easiest one that everybody can kind of point to.
Yeah.
There might be others that maybe just not aware of, but again, that's why I love to learn from a citizen's point of view. Like, are there gaps that we're missing, that just because I haven't done that particular thing that you try to do? Like, I love to be able to learn, but the permitting one is a perfect example of where I've known of people who are trying to do just simple additions or adding to their business, and it just their plans keep getting changed. Like, just, can you just please go to the office, just do whatever they need to do, and just to get it done right, and then to come to find out, I mean, it's goofy things like they go through all the hoops and put in an ADA ramp for employees for part of a business that they actually didn't even need that for.
Right.
And it's like, what? It's unnecessary cost and expense that they had to do. That's unfortunate. And so it's like, if there was a better process, clear communications, better expectations, better collaboration, whatever that needs, whatever gap is there, if we can address that, we make life so much easier. I would imagine that would even make life easier for our own city employees, if we had a better process that was that consistent, right? And so I don't want businesses being grumpy at city employees. We want to make sure we have a good partnership. It's a healthy relationship.
Yeah, it is. And I was chatting with Christian earlier today, and we were talking about, obviously he had previous employment with the city and kind of some first-hand experience with that. That I think that for the most part the business community is okay being told no if they understood the why.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, if they had all the information up front that was clear and simple and concise, that they'd be able to avoid that no.
Yeah.
That the probability of avoiding that no goes up significantly.
Completely.
And therefore the cost of creating something reduces.
Yes.
And their barrier to entry as a result is, again, limited in terms of, again, cost.
Yeah.
And just general sweat and effort.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
The
time and everything else.
Yeah, it is. It is an arduous task to start something up and to build something. And folks that haven't run a business, I don't think fully understand the stresses and strains that go along with that. And you can be living paycheck to paycheck for the most part when you're new and growing.
Yeah.
But also then when you're a mature company, any good business owner cares for the employees that they serve.
Yes.
And wants to make sure that they're able to continue to grow and thrive and support the people that work for them. And so simplification in any business and any governing is the way to go, in my opinion, anyway.
Completely.
So anyway, let's talk about, I guess, the kind of relationship that exists, just so that people understand, between the city council and the mayor. And in your view, how does that work and function? What's good practice look like for you? What's high performance look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. The city council is, for our city, it plays a huge, I mean, every city council does, but it plays a huge role. Like the mayor only votes whenever there's a tie. And it doesn't happen that often. But I actually would love to see it happen more often. I would love to be able to facilitate more open discussion. It's okay to disagree, as long as we're moving forward in good faith, trying to see what's best for the community. And so the mayor can definitely can set the tone of just how those dynamics work, right? And helps with obviously the agenda and everything else. But the city council is incredibly influential with their votes whenever something comes in from planning and zoning or any other group. And so what I would love to do is make sure that there's that they feel okay saying, no, I disagree with that. Like, that's great. That's fantastic. I would appreciate a little bit more differences of opinion. But yeah, that's I think it'd be good.
Good. I guess like we're seeing a little bit of that, especially with council seat 2, with the number of people that are running for that particular seat. I've heard some folks say that's not a good thing, but
really, why is it not a good thing?
Well, I don't really understand. I don't know, but for the majority of people, it's a good sign.
Yeah.
That there are folks that with different ideas and different points of view that want to participate and engage in some form of civic duties and responsibilities that can help shape and frame our city, especially as we're growing. How do you kind of think the best way the city can go about inspiring and educating people to be more engaged?
Oh, that's a good one. I think we need to try to start demystifying the process. It's funny, I had a conversation with a gentleman at the Compass Academy when we did the Mayoral Forum. And I thought it was really great that those kids, how cool is that they got to work on, it's not just it's this big project, this whole, setting up this whole event for the city council and the mayoral forum discussions, and from the event side of it, the tech side of it, the questions.
They had lights and everything. I wasn't at that one.
Yeah, it was incredible.
And stuff.
It's such a great opportunity for them. So I thought that was so cool. But there was a gentleman who was asking me, he's like, so like you want to improve transparency? It's like, yeah, of course. I think that's one of the things that we need to, our communications. It's one of the things I think we definitely need to work on. And he's like, oh, give me what's an example? And it's like, well, there's other municipalities that do this, and I think it's really great, where they will have, once they know what the agenda is, they'll make a simple infographic and they'll just put it on their social channels. And it's just a graphic, easy to consume, you can see it. And if you're following Idaho Falls, and there it is. It's like, oh, there's a working session coming up, or there's a city council meeting coming up, or whatever it happens to be. And you can see what the agenda is just at a glance. And then if that's something that you're interested in, you're better equipped to know, like, oh, this thing is coming up on Thursday. And then we can simulcast out to YouTube at the same time that we go to our website. There's no reason. So we're making the same content available on platforms where people are already consuming that kind of content. And then if you were to miss it, it's easy enough to go to the YouTube channel, go to the playlist that has it, and it's right there, and then it has the links off to the whole 300-page PDF of everything that was in there, the agenda and everything else. And then what's great is even having a follow-up. So if you those simple things like that, where it's exposure to what is happening, so it's not just this mystery box. So I was talking to this gentleman, and he's saying, like, well, don't we already post the agenda on the website? It's like, yeah, that's true, we post it. It's like, we have the video on the website. It's like, yeah, yes, we do. But it's requiring the individuals to make the effort to go do that. And that's not necessarily bad. If you want to be an informed citizen, there are the pathways for it.
Sure.
But it's accessibility. Not all people consume information in the same way. So if we can provide it in a way that's easier for different people, like, what's wrong with that? That's so much better for engagement. And so that's one of those, like, these things, like, this is like low-hanging fruit, just to try to start to demystify. And then especially working with young people, you're saying, like, the chamber has that whole civics program. Unbelievable. Like, that type of stuff. And like, my son did the Boys State through the American Legion, which was incredible.
That's great.
So 7 days, 6 nights, they get sponsored by their local American Legion. They go to Boise. So there's Boys State and there's Girls State, and it's such an intensive civics program that actually counts as a semester of high school civics.
Wow.
Like, and then we're one of 2 states that when they break up, you're into whatever role and job you are. So my son was president pro tempore, which he thought was pretty cool because he got to act as a senator and he got to be up on the dais. You know, it's like Mr. President and with the gavel and everything. But they actually do it in the at the Capitol building. So he was in the Senate chambers. That's and awesome. And the other boys were in the House or the governor, whoever was the governor, got to go to the governor's office. And what a great way to not only learn but learn by doing. And they're passing laws and learning how to do that, make amendments and parliamentary procedures and everything. And then he was chosen to go to Boys Nation, which was incredible. So he got to represent Idaho. But the programs like that, I think a lot of people just don't even know about. And so if we can,
well, civics used to be something that was taught in school, and isn't so much. And so it's kind of fallen to private organizations to address that issue. And I definitely, from the private sector, in particular, we're kind of looking at young people coming out of high school. And like asking the question, are they ready for college, or are they ready for full-time employment? Yeah. And there's a lot of concern and worry about that. And so that's kind of what we decided would be an answer to that question that we get asked, is that program, that 2-year program of private and public sector, to kind of help young people get that tangible experience and talk to people that been there and got the T-shirt, as well as have those kind of, again, like full sensory experience of sitting down in a chamber, you know, or whatever, and meeting their mayor, or meeting their city council members and stuff, and that's what motivated us to kind of start our program.
Yeah,
so,
I think it's incredible. I think that if you were to take the average high school or college student, they would probably know much more about national politics than they would even about local politics.
Yeah, probably so. And again, I mean, I kind of variety of conversations I've had over the last few days. You think if you can get the engagement and education happening at a young age, therefore voter turnout should improve. That's the kind of theory. And so historically the voter turnout has not been significant in terms of percentage to the total population.
Yeah.
What would be your message, I guess, for folks as they're kind of watching this that perhaps may not have felt inspired to get out and vote? Why do you feel like it would be good for them to do that now?
Yes, well, especially with the local elections. I think a lot of people in these odd number years, so they try to make the municipal elections be on these odd number years because they don't want to have it be overshadowed by the general or the midterms, and it makes sense, especially since these are nonpartisan also. But as a result of it, it's just there's definitely that dip in turnout too. So from historically, so if you look at the 68,000 people who live in Idaho Falls, of the people who are eligible to vote, we only have 20. Well, I say only. I think this is actually a pretty decent number compared to other areas. We have 26,000 registered voters, but on a municipal election, we'll have less than 10,000. So there are 16,000 people eligible to vote who elect not to vote, and it's 50% plus one, and so every vote has a significant impact. I think every vote matters no matter what the election is, but I think a lot of people will feel like, well, my vote doesn't really matter for president or senator or something like that. But when it comes to these local elections, each vote carries a lot of weight. If you were to think of what your percentage value is that your vote is able to influence, especially at the local level, versus something like a state, it's huge. It's huge, and so it's a wonderful responsibility. And I would just encourage, like, man, there's 16,000 people. It's a good opportunity.
It sure is.
And we're trying to make it as accessible as possible. Like open voting, or early voting started on the 20th, open through the 31st. Closes down just for a bit until November 4th. So the early voting is only at the Bonneville County Elections Office, but then November 4th will be at whatever your precinct is.
Yeah. Well, I've enjoyed the time we've had to have have a conversation today, and appreciate you taking the time to do that. And like I said, I appreciate anyone that's willing to stick their neck on the line and throw their hat in the ring and
I appreciate
run
that.
for city council and for mayors. A big undertaking. Especially when you kind of very much live in your constituency and you're kind of trying to just like maybe do some grocery shopping or whatever it might be, and it's like, hey mayor, what you think of the price of this, whatever
just
it might be.
just a guy. It's a servant, right?
Yeah.
You're a public servant.
Yeah, well, thank you, Jeff, and wish you all the best as you continue your campaign trail, and
thank you, Paul.
would echo the message to get people out and vote and engage in this civic process. It's a wonderful privilege to be able to have, and I say that having been to a variety of different countries that don't necessarily have that privilege.
Yeah.
And so would encourage everyone that's watching to come out and vote. And thank you for watching this, and again, thank you to Jeff, and we'll see you all again soon. Thank you.
Paul, thank you.
Thanks so much.